President Biden has said that inflation is the number one priority for the Biden White House to try to get under control right now. As you're out there in California talking to constituents during this re-election year for Congress, how does inflation compare to this newly important, in the sense of the Supreme Court decision pending, abortion issue? How do those two issues compare?
Well, I don't think they compare. I think they actually reinforce each other. So the fact that things like inflation can happen and it can become more expensive to feed your kids and to fuel your car is exactly why people need to be able to be in charge of how many mouths they're going to have to feed. So I think the fact that we're seeing this jump in expenses, that we're seeing people having to pay more in the grocery store, pay more at the pump, pay more for housing, is a reason that people are saying, I need to be able to make my own decisions about when and if to start a family. So I don't think we're going to see them. I don't think it's like about comparing them or contrasting them. I think they reinforce for people just how big of a responsibility it is to take care of a family.
That is Democrat Representative Katie Porter. And you just heard her say, yeah, we should have the right to abort anything and everything because, inflation. And obviously that clip was from last year. That wasn't from this year. This is when Biden was still president. We got to talk about Katie Porter, though, because she did something that's quite interesting. But then also, she is the front runner to become the next governor of California. Yeah, I know. Quite crazy. But I got a couple more clips that I want to show you before we get into the meat and potatoes of it all, because you guys got to really understand who this woman really is. Here's another clip of her. I'll just play it. I want y'all to hear this.
So on election night, I went to pick up my daughter from water polo practice, and she's 12, and she got in the car and she was crying. And I said, did someone punch you? Like, water polo is a rough sport. I was like, did someone hit you? Did the coach yell at you? What happened? And she said, Mom, Trump won. Trump's going to win. And what if I get raped and I need to have an abortion? This is from a 12-year-old, my 12-year-old daughter. And so it was really a reminder of how scary this time is for people and how important it is for Democrats to have strategies, both at the state level and the federal level, to make sure that we can continue to protect people's rights. So on election.
So either this woman is a blatant liar or she is absolutely traumatizing a 12-year-old. One of the two, or maybe both. Right? Maybe she genuinely is traumatizing a 12-year-old, but then she also is a liar because a 12-year-old wouldn't normally think of something like that. Oh, Trump's gonna win. So what's gonna happen if I won't be able to get an abortion? I don't know about y'all, but I don't know. I don't think 12-year-olds are talking about that kind of stuff. And if they are, they've been traumatized by their parents. Y'all can let me know what you think, okay? Do you think she's a blatant liar, or is she out here traumatizing the young ones? Y'all let me know. But here's one more that I want to play for y'all because it is just absolutely wild what she says in this clipping. You let me know what you decipher from this. Check it out.
The allegation of groomer and pedophile, it is alleging that a person is criminal somehow and engaged in criminal acts merely because of their identity, their sexual orientation, their gender identity. So this is clearly prohibited under Twitter's content, yet you found hundreds of these posts on the platform. The allegation of groomer and pedophile, it is alleging that a person is criminal somehow and engaged in criminal acts merely because of their identity.
The idea of groomer in, PEDO, is alleging that someone is criminal because of their identity. So PEDO isn't a crime, it's just an identity? That's what I took from that. Maybe I'm tripping. Y'all let me know in the comments, all right? But that's what I gathered from what she just said there. Okay? Now let's get into the meat and potatoes, because she recently did an interview and she absolutely blew a gasket in the interview in the most embarrassing way possible. I want y'all to check out this interview because it's just absolutely wild. And once again, this is who will possibly be, more than likely, she's the front runner to be the next governor of California. Keep that in mind as you watch this interview. Check it out.
What do you say to the 40% of California voters who you'll need in order to win, who voted for Trump?
How would I need them in order to win, man?
Well, unless you think you're going to get 60% of the vote. You think you'll get 60%. Everybody who did not vote for Trump will vote for you. That's what you're saying.
In a general election, yes. If it is me versus a Republican, I think that I will win the people who did not vote for Trump.
What if it's you versus another Democrat?
I don't intend that to be the case.
So how do you not intend that to be the case? Are you going to ask them not to run?
No, I'm saying I'm going to build the support. I have the support already in terms of name recognition. And so I'm going to do the very best I can to make sure that we get through this primary in a really strong position. But let me be clear with you. I represented Orange County. I represented a purple area. I have stood on my own 2 feet and won Republican votes before. That's not something every candidate in this race can say. If you're from a deep blue area, if you're from LA or you're from Oakland, you don't have an experience.
But you just said you don't need those Trump voters.
Well, you asked me if I needed them to win.
So you don't
I
think
feel
you
like
need
this
them
is
to win.
unnecessarily argumentative. What is your question?
The question is the same thing I asked everybody, that this is being called the empowering voters to stop Trump's power grab. Every other candidate has answered this question. This is not
Correct. And I said I support it.
So, and the question is, what do you say to the 40% of voters who voted for Trump?
Oh, I'm happy to say that. It's the do you need them to win part that I don't understand. I'm happy to answer the question as you have it written, and I'll answer it.
And we've also asked the other candidates, do you think you need any of those 40% of California voters to win? And you're saying, no, you don't.
No, I'm saying I'm going to try to win every vote I can. And what I'm saying to you is that...
Well, to those voters, okay, so you...
I don't want to keep doing this. I'm going to call it. Okay. Thank you.
You're not going to do the interview with us?
Nope, not like this. I'm not. Not with 7 follow-ups to every single question you ask.
Every other candidate has answered
I don't
our
care.
follow-ups.
I don't care. I want to have a pleasant, positive conversation in which you ask me about every issue on this list. And if every question you're going to make up a follow-up question, then we're never going to get there.
Ms.
And
Porter,
we're just going to circle around.
I am an investigative
I have never had to do
reporter.
this before, ever.
You've never had to have a conversation with
to end
a
an
reporter?
interview.
Okay, but every other candidate has done this.
What part of I'm me? I'm running for governor because I'm a leader. So I am going to make...
So you're not going to answer questions from reporters? Okay, why don't we go through? I will continue to ask follow-up questions because that's my job as a journalist, but I will go through and ask these, and if you don't want to answer, you don't want to answer. So nearly every legislative...
I don't want to have an unhappy experience with you, and I don't want this all on camera.
I don't want to have an unhappy experience with you either. I would love to continue to ask these questions so that we can show our viewers what every candidate feels about every one of these issues that they care about. And redistricting is a massive issue. We're going to do an entire story just on the responses to that question. And I've asked everybody the same follow-up questions.
I've never had to do this before. I don't want to do this. I'm gonna end the interview because I'm getting asked follow-up questions. If you're gonna ask follow-up questions to everything, like what? That is her job. That is the woman's job, to ask follow-up questions. And you can't simply ask questions. That's what you're quitting on? At answering questions? And you want to run an entire state and you're quitting on questions? You know, I found something interesting when I was looking up Katie Porter. And, you know, that interview, I think, says a lot. That interview said she feels privileged, right? She thinks that she is above, you know, certain things and certain people. That's what that looked like to me. And y'all can let me know how you feel in the comments, whether or not you agree or disagree. But that seemed like someone who felt like they were above being questioned in a even slightly, because I don't even think those questions were even like pressing, really. You know, she was just asking follow-up. Hey, so is this really how you feel? You know, like those questions didn't even seem tough, but she seemed like someone who felt above being scrutinized in any way, shape, or form. Like, how dare you? You know? How dare you ask me the follow-up question? How dare you? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's what that felt like to me. Like she felt like the reporter was like beneath her. But I found something quite interesting from the New York Post. And I want to put this on the screen. From the New York Post, Rep. Katie Porter scalded ex-husband's scalp with potatoes. Considering what we just watched there, which seemed like someone who possibly may have some anger issues, I'm not surprised by this reporting here. That's on your screen. The former husband of Rep. Katie Porter said the California Democrat frequently abused him verbally and threw toys, books, and other objects at him during their marriage, even pouring scalding hot mashed potatoes on his head during a fight, according to divorce records. Yeah, this isn't hearsay. This is according to the divorce records. Matthew Hoffman, who filed for divorce from Porter in 2013, said in a request for a restraining order, a restraining order, a man getting a restraining order, order dated April 30th of that year, that he was routinely called a effing idiot and effing incompetent by his rage-prone spouse, who also shattered a glass coffee pot on their kitchen counter in March 2012 when she felt their house wasn't clean enough. Yeah. Listen, guys, I will say, after watching that clip, I'm not surprised. That does seem like someone who would pour scalding hot potatoes onto someone, right, because they're angry, which is just absolutely wild. Like, you burn the crap out of somebody. Goodness gracious. You know, throwing things around, breaking glass pots, yelling at something, you know what I mean? Like, hey, I came home from blah, blah, blah. Why is this house not cleaned? Why does a man need a restraining order from a woman? I don't know, but to me, that says everything we need to know. A man requested a restraining order from a woman? Yeah. California, if y'all elect that woman, you deserve everything that's coming your way. You deserve everything that's coming your way. There's been reports of her staff being ridiculed and yelled at, and, you know, oh my goodness. Goodness gracious. Yeah. And that's the front runner to become governor of California. How wild is that? Someone who can't even answer simple questions. Follow-up questions. Gets frustrated and wants to end the interview because there's follow-up questions. Goodness gracious, man. Y'all get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions about all of this. Make sure you guys share this video. All right, hit the arrow button. Copy the link and paste it in anywhere you like, on your Facebook, on your Twitter, on Instagram, on your Instagram story, wherever. You can even send it via text message, okay? Make sure America sees this, because that is just absolutely wild. Peace and love. I'm out.